Welcome back to the I Get Better podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Renee.
And I'm Phaedra Smith.
All right, and on today's episode, we are going to get into part one of a two-part episode on how I get better at healing from trauma. So we're going to break this down into two parts because this can kind of be a complex topic to talk about. And so we want to, start with defining it, going over what are some things that could cause trauma, and then we'll get into what some of the symptoms are, and then we'll come back for part two and talk about, some of the ways that we can get better, some of the consequences that can occur if you do not work on healing from trauma. So let's get into it. Both of us are licensed mental health therapists, so we deal with and witness and work with a lot of trauma in some of the clients that we see. So I thought this would be a great topic for us to bring to the platform and kind of get into the mental health aspect of how we can work on healing from trauma and processing trauma. So Phaedra, why don't you start us off with, your personal definition of what trauma is, and then clinically we can look at what the definition of trauma is as well.
Yeah. So, how I define it with clients is I just tell them that it's really whatever the brain defines as traumatic. So it can literally be anything from my parents got divorced when I was 5 to I got in a bad car accident to somebody told me about this awful plane crash that happened. And, it's this secondhand kind of trauma. So whatever the brain really identifies as traumatic can be a type of trauma.
But what would trauma be? Like, if it's defining this thing that happened is traumatic, what makes it traumatic? Like, what labels it as traumatic?
Um, I think it just depends. So there was an example given to me during one of my trainings of like what's the worst part about this thing? It was like a man that was flying and the lady said, "Well, what was the worst part about the flying?" And he said the sound. I can't get past the sound. And so really like you could have asked somebody else that was on that plane and nothing might have been traumatic about it, or it could have been the baby crying across the aisle, right? So it goes back to like an event that happens that my brain sees as scary or dangerous, right? And so now it has become trauma for me, something that my brain cannot get past. I'm stuck.
Mhm.
Does that help?
Yeah, so that's leading into kind of where I was trying to go with it. It's like
Okay.
it's in a distressing emotional experience, right?
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
what makes
That's
it
it.
traumatic. Like, yeah, like you hit it. Like my brain interprets this as something that is a threat to me in
Yes.
some way,
Yes.
right? So for me, like my definition is like it's a jarring emotional experience, right? It's disruptive to my sense of safety and well-being. And that's what we're now calling traumatic, as opposed to some other emotional experience that we might be having, which, oh, that noise could just be annoying, but it's not necessarily traumatic for me.
Correct. Correct.
So, but yes, so then the clinical version is, or definition or dictionary definition is a deeply distressing or overwhelming experience that causes significant emotional and psychological harm.